Hey everybody, Steve Bogren here, Pro Physique, and what I wanted to talk about today is RPE. For those of you that have been lifting for a little while, you've probably heard about RPE, or the rating of perceived exertion, right? Mike Teixeira has made this very popular as a means of training methodology, but it actually started off as the Borg RPE scale. I'm sure a lot of people out there know about RPE, right? And the typical 1 to 10 RPE scale. However, the initial RPE scale was the Borg RPE scale, and it's ranged from 6 to 20. So it was actually meant to almost mirror how heart rate increases during exercise. So a resting heart rate might be as low as 60 to 80. So very light or doing no work. And as you get up to about the 200, you're at maximal effort. And it correlates pretty well, but that's not really what people are using for training. So if you're like me, you tend to actually utilize RPE training. So how does RPE training work? RPE training is going to be based on working on how you feel within that day. So it actually has a lot of like self or auto-regulation within it, right? So if you're having a very good day, you might be lifting more, you're feeling strong, everything's just going right. If you're having a bad day, maybe you got poor sleep, your nutrition's off, you're lifting a little bit less based on your own perceptions and how you feel. So there are things that I really like about this. I really like that I feel like it helps to prevent injury. If you're training on RPE and you feel bad, you lift less. You don't risk getting injured. You don't risk going heavier to push yourself. Now, the other side of that coin is, I'm lazy today. I'm feeling tired. I could push myself a little bit harder, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take it easy. And so it gives you sort of that leeway in that room. Now, if you are on an RPE or RPE is in your training regimen, the thought process is that you're not being lazy. You're working hard, you're really pushing yourself to do the work, and then you're properly assessing that RPE. So if you're at an RPE 8, which means you could definitely have done 2 more reps, that means that you're not going to an RPE 8 set where you almost hit failure on your last rep. And that leads me into my next point, which is who should use RPE. Advanced lifters should be using RPE. If you're a novice or even some intermediate lifters, RPE is not for you. You do not have enough experience to properly assess going to failure, grinding through reps, and utilizing the tool properly. You would be much better served with a traditional percentage-based and most likely a linear periodization. Now, you can do an undulating periodization, which is where you just change rep schemes and weights every day, between workouts. I'm going to do 7 tomorrow. I did sets of 11 yesterday. After that, I'll do sets of 4. That sort of thing. That's just an undulating periodization. Linear periodization starts high volume, right? Works into lower volume, high intensity. So weights come up, overall work goes down. Undulating periodization, all that stuff changes around within the block. For advanced lifters, RPE can be an awesome tool. Again, because of the fact that it can help to prevent injury. But even for me, who I'm a reasonably advanced lifter, I find that I tend to get lazy. I tend to feel crappy. I get in my own head. And I have very poor RPE skills. I do not do a good job actually assessing the weight that I need to be using And even within the sets, right? I'll make too big of a jump. I'll make too small of a jump. I'm supposed to have a set at RPE 6, 7, and then 8. And there can be a lot of variance in that from day to day. And a lot of the times I tend to overestimate myself, right? So I'll end up being in an RPE 9 when I should be in an RPE 8. This is why RPE can be great for accessory workouts as well. So maybe we're not the best. You know, maybe you're like me and you get a little bit too into it and you go a little bit too hard and you're not really good at assessing RPE. So for your main lifts, perhaps percentage-based work is better. But that doesn't mean that you cannot use RPE on your accessory workouts. So say I'm doing a normal powerlifting split. I'm going to go in, I'm going to squat, I'm going to bench, I'm going to deadlift. So I know that I'm going to have a 4x8 at 315 for squats. I'm going to go in and then I'm going to have a 5x6 or whatever it might be. You know, 5x6 is kind of high. But say I'm going to have a 4x6 for bench next at 220. And then I'm going to go in for deadlifts and we're having an easy work and it's 3 sets of 3 at around 400 pounds or so, right? So just an example. So for my accessory work then, say I have 3 count pause bench, right? Or even 1 count pause bench or board press. It doesn't matter what the exercise is, just that there's an exercise there. I can now then use RPE for that training. And the way I can do that is I utilize RPE going into almost a warm-up, right? So I go for a 6, a 7, and then I have a working set of RPE 8, right? Now I can continue to do more working sets of RPE 8, or I can use a drop set technique. It doesn't matter. But I can now base my accessory training and my secondary lifts off of how I'm feeling after I've performed the work that needed to be done. I have found more often than not that submaximal training is the better way to train. It allows you much better recovery and it doesn't just kill you. So mentally it also is a lot easier on you. Because of that, I feel RPE can be a very useful tool even for me who tends to overdo it if I use it with accessory work and with things like form work and that type of thing, right? So after the fact, after my main lifts. Another thing that you can use is RIR or reps in reserve, right? I want you to have 2 RIR on every set unless otherwise indicated, which means I want you to pick a weight for your accessory workouts for every single accessory movement that you do to where at the end of that set you could do 2 more reps. 2 more reps. And these are just ways to keep you accountable for doing the work, for increasing workload as your body adapts and gets stronger and gets better, and ways to help keep you motivated as you're going throughout, right? Also, using RIR also allows you to change weights as well and help prevent injury. I'm a big proponent that your main goal when you are in the gym is not to get hurt. If you get hurt, that's it. You now have to rehab, you have to get better, you have to heal up. You can no longer make progress, right? So these are actually really good tools to help facilitate and aid in that goal of injury prevention. That being said, maybe it's RPE, maybe it's RIR, maybe it's percentage-based training, but there are lots of different methods that you can use to make sure that you are keeping intensity up and that you are still getting the work done to garner all the benefits from your training. Well, I hope you guys have a great week. That's it from me today. Train safe.